You're listening to Nurture Your Zest. I'm your host, Ashleigh King, and I will introduce you to a wealth of interesting, fascinating individuals from all walks of life who will share their stories, how they've overcome challenges, and you will find out their top tips for success. Through this podcast, you can gain tips to grow and change your life and the way you see the world, and help you to nurture your zest. Hi everyone, you're listening to Nurture Your Zest, 100 Conversations, which is launching tonight with me. I'm your host, Ashleigh King, and I run a podcast called Nurture Your Zest. It started last September and it's been listened to by people all over the world, in the States, to Finland, Liechtenstein, Uganda, Tanzania. So I'm really excited that while I would normally do things in a professional studio, tonight I'm really putting myself out of my comfort zone and just doing a podcast live from home on Facebook Live. So I'm delighted to be joining you from my cozy house. And tonight I'm really excited because, as I said, I'm launching 100 Conversations tonight. So I will be chatting to creatives and entrepreneurs all over the world who are doing cool things to nurture their zest. So they are looking for things they can do to be creative, to be curious, and to be courageous, especially at this time where we need it most. So tonight, I'm so excited because to launch this, I've got a family friend, Nicole Timm, who I'm going to bring on in just a moment. So Nicole is in California at the moment. We grew up as family friends when we were younger. She's always been really talented. She studied at Berkeley University in the States. I actually think I might have said that wrong. Nicole can correct me when she comes on. But she's now a singer-songwriter in the States, and she's got such an incredible story of making that journey to get there, how much it's cost her, the sacrifice in tuition fees, in leaving her family behind. So I'm really delighted to invite Nicole. Nicole has been an impersonator, a singer, a children's songwriter, and so it's going to be really fun to hear all the funny jobs she's had, but also how she got into the music industry. So without further ado, I'll bring Nicole in now. Hi, Nicole.
Hello, how are you?
I'm
My voice just left
awesome.
my body.
That's fine. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And yeah, would you like to tell us all about you?
So my name is Nicole. At the moment, I'm an artist in California, performing under the name TIMMS. So, which is my last name with an S. So most people here will call me Timms or Timmy or something to that effect. But I also get Nicole from back home. And yeah, I've been living here for like 4 years now. 3 of them in Boston, 1 of them in California. Originally from South Africa. And that's pretty much me and all of my moves in a nutshell.
I like that, and I like that you've had a lot of moves, and we can't wait to hear, yeah, how you got into the music industry. Why did you choose to go and study in Boston? All of these different questions. I guess one of my big questions I'd like to ask you first is, did you always know that you wanted to be a singer?
I always knew that I wanted to be in the entertainment industry. I thought I wanted to be an actor when I was a kid. And then I thought that I wanted to work at Disney World because I went there when I was 8. And then I realized that that was a terrible idea and that I wasn't as good as an actor as I was at music. So pretty early on, like when I was about 14, I started deciding that I wanted to actually actively pursue it. So pretty long now because I'm older.
And your dad is really well respected in the South African entertainment industry. He's put on some incredible shows and productions. And has growing up around entertainment influenced you and influenced your choices, do you think?
Uh, Definitely. My dad is one of my sort of biggest inspirations because growing up I remember sitting in edit suites and seeing videos being edited or going to his live shows and stuff like that. And he also really gave me sort of the space, and my mom as well, to do something creative where a lot of other people, they want you to go get a degree in something, that's safe. And my dad just wasn't like that. So that was cool, being able to sort of pursue it, because he knew what it was like to want to chase something creative and not be able to do anything else. So he let me do that, which was really cool.
Absolutely. And I think it's so nice to have family and who support you, and we can see your mum saying that hi. Um, and we've got people watching from Botswana, so great to see you, Teresa, which is so lovely. So it's really nice, I think, that at the moment with everyone on lockdown, that we can tune in and have a chat. And I just can't believe that you're in California, where I was last December for TED Women. And I'm in the UK, and we've got family all over the world, and we're able to have these conversations. It's amazing technology, and I'm so grateful for it at this time.
Yeah, thank God for the internet.
Absolutely. So on that note, I mean, what are you doing to keep yourself busy at the moment during this lockdown? As a singer-songwriter, is this a creative time for you? What are you getting up to?
Well, usually, I mean, a lot of the work that I do is pretty collaborative. So it's difficult in the sense of I can't go to my producer's house and the people that I write with, um, I have to kind of either do it online or do it alone. So it's kind of forced me to focus on the other parts of what I'm doing. Um, Try to, work on the branding side of things or getting stuff out on social media. So that's kept me busy. On top of that, I have a roommate that is a trained chef, so she feeds me a lot, and that's great. And on top of that, I play a lot of video games.
Oh, excellent. And what do you like to play? What video games?
So I went, there's a place called David Buster's in David Buster's. It's like an arcade for adults. So you go there, there's a lot of little games, whatever, you play them, you get tickets, and I won a Sega Genesis that way. So I played the 1991 version of Sonic. So nothing cool.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people would think that is cool. It's very retro, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's also just, it was cheap. So that's what I play.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, and your brother is actually in the States at the moment in New York, which is pretty scary, I guess. Are you chatting with him a lot?
Every now and again. I mean, we FaceTime. Him and I have this sort of, when we do speak, we don't speak particularly regularly, but when we do, it's for hours on FaceTime. So I'll probably give him another 4-hour call in a couple days and cancel the very important tile counting that I was going to do in my bathroom.
I love that. Okay. So you're doing some work at home, but normally you'd be very collaborative, chatting to your producer, chatting to other songwriters, and doing a lot of stuff face to face.
That's right.
So and you have said as well, so between gigs and singles and different work you're doing, you're also doing something very special at the moment, which is writing children's songs. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's right. I write personalized children's songs for sort of rent. And that's really fun. I mean, it's really cute when they send back videos and the kids are interacting with it and stuff. But it is an interesting turn. But I've done so many different things and so many different jobs that it's not sort of out of the ordinary for me to do something like that.
So can you tell us a bit more about that? So you write personalized songs like jingles?
Kind of. It's sort of like it's sort of like if Jimmy, I get this profile and Jimmy likes to ride his bike and play outside, then I'll sing, Jimmy likes to ride his bike and play outside, and then I get a video back of Jimmy finding that very exciting, and they get some rent money. So
I
it's
love
fun.
that. And that's actually a really important thing because I guess this idea of people living in California, living in the entertainment industry before they get big, doing whatever small jobs they can do to pay the rent and, to bring in income to fund their dreams. So
Right.
I think it's awesome that you are, doing that. You're finding ways that you can pay the rent, but still do it creatively. So you're doing songwriting still, but just in a different way to maybe what you always thought you would.
Yeah, well, it's been a bit of a side hustle, but I kind of have been doing that since South Africa, just always finding new ways to fund things. And, I was only allowed, I got work permission in the States last year. So it's been suddenly you thrown into the industry and just have to kind of work it out and make it work. So I've been doing a bunch of different things, but that's one of them. And it's definitely less variety than when I was in Joburg. That was a little crazier.
So, we both grew up in Joburg. Do you miss it?
I do. I miss things about it. There are certain things that I love about the States, and I miss a lot of things about home. Though I miss mainly the people, and it's the people you grew up with, and the culture, and all that kind of thing.
And your
Um,
cats?
I miss my cats so bad. I really do. I miss my cats. Probably, I can't say more than anything because my mom and dad are watching, but I do really miss my cats.
Oh, yeah, no, I know, and I know how much you love your cats. And yeah, and I mean, for me, I really miss the food and, as you said, the culture and just the way people, get together, which is really nice. It's a big part of South African culture to, have a braai and
Right.
stuff like that. So, how did people find your accent when you first moved over?
Well, everyone thinks I'm Australian, so I forgive them for that. No, but most people think I'm Australian. It's usually been at least an interesting talking point because they struggle to place it. So it became sort of like a social, something we could use to socially set off the conversation, talk about where we're from, So it's been fun. I mean, most of the time people don't know what I'm saying, but that's okay.
It's funny that when I get a lot of people thinking that I'm Canadian, which is
Oh,
quite
really?
funny. Because I don't think I sound like that. I don't know if you like this, but my accent will change depending who I talk to. So it can be very American, very Kiwi, just depends who you want to chat to.
Definitely. Well, speaking to you now, I can feel my sort of mouth going rounder, whereas yours is
Yeah,
flatter.
absolutely. So I see Paul has a suggestion for a song there. Do you think you could make that into a song for him?
Paul likes to play poker and make fun of your father. How much for my own song? Well, for you it would be free. I just not sure I would do that in public, just to save face for myself.
Maybe that one's a private conversation following this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I want to ask you, so last year, and I might pronounce this wrong, my Zulu, of course, is not up to scratch. I think it's Zulu, but Ndlovu Youth Choir went to the States and got into the final of America Got Talent, I think.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and you were at that event and able to see that. Is that right?
Yes, it was really cool. The guy who is kind of the mastermind behind that is a guy named Ralph Schmidt, who I worked for back in Joburg, and I did a couple things with him. I used to work with this choir called the Insansi Youth Choir, and with him, and he hired me for a bunch of stuff. So I got to learn a lot from him. And then next minute, he was on America's Got Talent with Ndlovu. So it was really cool to be able to see him, in a completely different context and just killing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, they were incredible, and their energy and enthusiasm and their costumes. I mean, for me,
Yeah.
that just, I was crying every time I watched them. It made me so homesick.
Oh yeah, it was totally moving and emotional to watch it. It
I
like
think that,
yeah, it was like you get so proud as well if you're where you're from and you're home.
yeah. And I think that's one of the things actually, when you think about South Africa that many people don't know, because there's so many languages, in many ways, like the whole country just talks bits and pieces of everything.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
you think about things like Isidingo or like all these different shows. And we all speak bits of Zulu and Xhosa and all kinds of different things. So yeah.
Yeah. It's really something also that I miss about home. It's just the sort of like mingling of cultures and everything that is quite uniquely South African.
Yeah, absolutely. So have people in the States been friendly then?
Oh, amazing. I mean, I love American people, man. They're so friendly and in my experience super genuine. And so I've had a great time. It's been quite an easy adjustment actually because of that.
Cool. And on that note, going into the music industry, did it feel really scary? I mean, from just a a stereotypical view, I guess. I would think maybe it's going to be really competitive. There might be people that don't really chat to you, or it's hard to kind of get known and mingle with people. How do you find people in industry?
I think I had it a little bit easier because I went to college first. So I went there with a bunch of people who were all in the same boat, who'd all kind of left home. 40% of the college I went to is international. So there were a lot of people who felt like out on a limb. And then, you all go through the system together, you graduate together, and then you all move out here together. So I ended up moving out here with a bunch of my friends. So when people would, be a little cliquey or whatever, or not be interested in talking to you, you've always got this group of people that, need each other and have been through the last 4 years together, that you can rely on. So I think I had it a little bit easier than maybe someone who would just come straight through without having gone through the college.
Absolutely. And do you feel that maybe people thought you might have had more credibility since you went to college there and it was such a prestigious school?
There's like kind of a mixed bunch of feelings on that. I think some people don't really care at the end of the day. I think it's just the product that you kind of come up with. Um, I mean, I feel very, very privileged and lucky to have gone to the college that I went to. But out here, at the end of the day, I guess it comes down to if you can make the music that people want to hear. Um, and that's more important than where you're from or what you studied. Or you could have studied engineering, or not studied at all, or studied how to be a chef, and doesn't matter as long as you can make good music.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And on that note about going to study, I mean, I remember having a conversation with you, I think it was about 2014, back in your house in South Africa. And we were talking about how much the course was going to cost you and was it even possible? And you were waiting for your application to be accepted. And I remember how nervous you were, but also this feeling of like, how are we going to afford this? How are we going to make it happen? So your family really did sacrifice a lot to make these dreams come true, as did you. And I just wonder, how does it feel looking back at that time? So looking back at say 6 years ago and thinking, like, what would you tell yourself if you could go back before you went on this amazing journey west? What would you say?
I would probably tell myself to relax a little bit because I figure what I've sort of worked out is most of the things that I've tried to do and have I've just planned to do them, put the work in, put the effort in, they've kind of come to fruition. So um, I think, it's this very daunting idea to kind of go overseas and where we're going to get the money and all that kind of thing. But we took it, I was supposed to go for 1 year because, that's what my parents could afford. And we took it like semester by semester. So just before I, left to the States, I had worked a couple jobs and tried to save as well. My parents made a huge financial sacrifice for the first year. And then I got a scholarship because I worked hard at it. And I kind of feel like every time you want something, as long as you kind of plan it and work hard at it, most of the time it'll work out. Well, that's what my experience has been. So I would probably tell myself to just relax. And if it doesn't work out, there's always other plans you can make around it to sort of still achieve the ultimate goal, because there are many ways to skin that proverbial cat.
But I think as well, just that courage to just go for it, not knowing how you were going to get from that one semester to the next, but just going and doing and working hard, that takes enormous courage and grit. And, I think that speaks volumes of your character. I want to know, has there ever been a time when you thought, I can't do this, like this is too hard, I don't fit in here, I don't have what it takes. I don't belong. Have you ever felt like that?
Yeah, definitely over the last a couple times over the last couple of years. But I think moving to LA was more difficult than I thought it was going to be originally. I love LA. It's actually my favorite place that I've lived, just also because of the creative hub that it is. But it can get lonely when you move out and it was me and my roommate and I don't have my family, and it's stressful and you don't know how you're going to make rent, and all you want to do is make music, and it's not always going to be the music that you want to make in the beginning. Um, so there were definitely parts like that that I had, even at college, where it was just stressful to work out how I was going to continue doing it. But I don't know. I figure when you found something, well, I feel like I was made to do this. So when you find something that you feel like you're made to do, you can't really do anything else but that, which I think I learned maybe from my dad as well. So it might just be a stubborn, misplaced confidence, but it seems to be working out.
I think it's awesome. So those times when you were struggling, what did you do to kind of, as we would say in the show, nurture your zest? So like, did you do anything like go out in nature, go for a walk, have a word with yourself, call your friends? Like, how did you cope? What was your strategy?
I managed to find a really nice group of friends. I have a couple South African friends that have moved out as well, which is always helpful just to have people. There's people, not just South African people, but people that I grew up with that are out here. And I have a really good support system around me, I think. My family's very supportive. And on top of that, once I think it's kind of funny because when you go into the studio and you want to write something that day, if you write something that's really bad and you feel like really terrible about yourself, and then the next day you go and you write something really good, you feel like a superhero. And so you just have to kind of remember the good stuff in that moment. And when you have written the bad song or had a bad day or had a bad gig or something like that, you can't just rely on the emotion in the moment, but think about the other things that have happened. So some combination of the support system and just remembering the times that feel good and not the ones that make you feel like you shouldn't be doing it, you know?
Yeah, it reminds me of a recent guest of ours on Nurture Your Zest called Kay Grayson, who's a hip hopper and a rapper from Newcastle, where I'm living in the UK. And one of her things was, you know, the more that you just kind of write the songs that aren't so good, it's just one bad song out of the way, moving on to the next one. You
Yeah.
just got to get it out your system and kind of keep moving.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's a really good way to put it. I've definitely gotten a bunch of bad songs out of the way because when I listen back to some of them, I'm like, why did this happen? Why did I make this happen? But then again, it led me to the next one, which I like.
So how do you come up with your writing and your content? Like, where do you get ideas? I know that you're a huge fan of pop. So, I mean, do you ever write in other ways? So, like different styles of music, or is pop your favorite go-to?
Well, I think, especially now that I've been focusing on doing sort of my own artistry and working on the TIMMS project, and I think I try to make it as accessible and as interesting as possible. So I want to try out weird stuff and weird sounds and weird ideas, but still keep it something that a lot of people can relate to and is accessible. Uh, I pretty much draw from personal life and personal experiences exclusively. So I'm always writing by myself. So that helps. So as long as I'm in some sort of turmoil, I can write a song. I'm kidding. But as long as I have something going on, I can write a song. And I also listen to a lot, like I listen to a lot of John Bellion and Melanie Martinez and things like that, Billie Eilish, people who are a bit, left of center. And I find that really inspiring because somehow they're still very accessible. And yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
And what about other artists? So you've mentioned some there, but who kind of shaped your goals as a musician? So from a young age, you know, what were you listening to? And as you've grown, how has your sound evolved?
So I grew up listening. I think my first like major influence was Pink. I when I was 14, I wanted to sing, and I didn't think I was good enough to sing. I was like, I'm probably not a great singer. There was all these, chicks with these massive diva voices, and that's just not, what I do. And I was 14, and I went to a Pink concert, and she was just so good and just so electrifying, and the whole stage had been stripped back. It was just her, and she couldn't bring none of the bells and whistles that she has because I don't know if you know, but she does sort of aerial acrobatics and gymnastics while she sings, and it's just crazy. But she was playing in South Africa in Sun City or something like that, or it might have been in the Dome. But she just had herself in her band, and she was so good, and I freaked out. And so because I freaked out, she gave me her set list. So I have a set list from that show on my wall in South Africa. I actually want to get my parents the next time they come and visit, or I go, I'm going to bring it back. And that day I just decided, I was like, okay, cool. I think I want to do your job because it looks really fun and I want to be as good at it as what you are. And so I had that, and I had this sort of like rock influence growing up where I listened to a bunch of just very intense bands. And then I found pop music and I was like, whoa, this is cool. And that was that.
I love that, and I love that blend of rock and pop, and just kind of saying, well, being left of center, or not having to fit into a particular mold or box. It's really nice that you are kind of open to whatever you're interested in, and just curious. That's really cool.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I think there's a lot of artists at the moment that are inspiring that, and a lot of people like Billie Eilish and uh, pretty much anyone that's big at the moment has got something interesting about them that's kind of a bit weird. So I'm enjoying that they've paved the way like that for the rest of us.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking about Pink there. I'm a big Pink fan as well. I think she's pretty inspiring. I loved her song. I think it was Letters to My 13-Year-Old Self or something like that.
Conversations
I
with my 13-year-old self.
that was it. That was it. Well done. But yeah, and I think Pink, it's really kind of an artist to do that. So to give you her set list and like that kind of stuff is what nurtures the talent of the next generation, and really encourages people to just go for it. And I think there's not many artists that always, well, not all artists do that. So do you feel that maybe when you make it, you're going to be giving back to the next generation, and I don't know, mentoring, or do you have any goals for your next phase?
Totally. I mean, that was such a big thing for me when she did that, which it actually kind of altered how I had previously thought about what I was going to do, and whether or not I was good enough to do it, and just kind of thought, whatever, I'm just going to do it because it looks fun and I really want to. So I would totally love to do stuff like that. I mean, also the people that listen to your music are the reason that you can keep making it, no matter what capacity it is. And I think, giving back to that crowd of people that are taking the time to listen and investing and whatever, that's the most important thing you can do, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to continue making anything without them. So yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So wow, I'm just so excited to chat to you and hear about what you've been doing. And I looked on YouTube before we had this conversation. I was like to do my research, and I watched some videos where you were chatting with a really a really well-known producer. So he's won Grammys. So it's Prince Alexander Charles,
Prince Charles
and
Alexander.
that's the one. Prince Charles Alexander.
That's right.
Gosh, excuse me. But when you were chatting to him, I mean, gosh, it was on video, and I really felt for you because you were in a studio with all these people in the recording part, kind of watching what you were doing. And
Right.
how did that feel?
I mean, it was pretty terrifying. I think, like, I'm used to being in front of a large group of people. It doesn't really phase me to the amount of people. I think the fact that there were cameras there was what threw me, because it was just like a whole lot of cameras in your face, immortalizing any possible mistake you were going to make, of which I made. So I was like, oh no, don't look at me. But Prince makes it really easy. I mean, he was one of my mentors at college, and I still keep in contact with him, and he's always been really supportive. So he made it easy to 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 do that with him. He's such a professional, obviously, and he's crazy good and crazy invested. And so it was challenging, but it wasn't completely out of the ordinary for me. But yeah, the cameras freaked me out. I haven't watched the videos.
Well, I watched them and I thought you were super calm under pressure and really cool. So,
Thank you.
Nicole, I want to talk about your new single. So you've got a single out at the moment called Pretty Ugly.
That's right.
So can you tell us, first of all, what does that picture mean? Because that's super weird.
So I have another mentor. Her name is Bonnie Hayes, and she's great. She's a crazy successful songwriter that ended up teaching me, and I became friends with her over time. And she once told me that it was inappropriate to expect everybody to like you. It's inappropriate for adulthood to expect everyone to like you. And I found that a very freeing statement, because then you can suddenly you have an excuse to completely be yourself, because if they're going to like you, then they're going to like you. And if they don't, they don't. And it would be inappropriate to think that everyone would. So when it came to working on the image for the project, I just found all the things that made me sort of what I think makes me me, and just exaggerated them. Like I love cats, and I love weird cats, and I love cats with no hair. And so I ended up finding this cat, and then went online and found glasses that I just thought looked cool. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to wear these weird things. And now I wear them all the time. And sometimes when I'm driving, just to freak people out. But yeah, so that was the image of it. And the whole, song is about showing a side of you that is not like the polished, pretty, perfect side, but just the authentic side. And that's what the song I wrote when I moved to LA. And it was, a little bit difficult at first, learning how to interact with people in LA who don't always have the time for you. And that was what the song was about. So, yeah.
I really love it. I've listened to it so many times in the last 3 days. And I love the picture. It's I know there's someone watching tonight who is all about creating intrigue, and I think the picture really does that. It's like, whoa, what is that about? What's going on here? It's a really strong image, and I love that. So yeah, it's super cool. And I know that you've got another single coming out. So can you tell us about that one?
Yes, the next one, that one comes out tomorrow. Well, technically, I think for you guys, it's the next day, because it's midnight EST, which is New York time, on Thursday. So it comes out on Wednesday for me, and it comes out halfway through Thursday for you guys. But it's called Are We There Yet? And it's basically about my inability to be friends with an ex.
Oh, right. Okay. So that sounds like it was a really hard song to write, or a difficult situation to like get through.
Well, I think I wrote it with my friends, so we more made fun of it.
Right.
So it was more like, okay, well, because humor isn't really important to me, and I like to add humor into the songs and make intense things lighthearted, because I think life is a little bit too short to be serious, and I probably get that from my father. But yeah, we just kind of made fun of it, actually. And the song is like, are we there yet? Are we friends yet? Because I feel like we're never going to get back to being friends. And it's kind of lighthearted, and made it easier to write about maybe, I don't know, attachment issues or something.
I like that. And I think humor is really important. And yeah, it definitely helps to overcome tricky situations sometimes. Yeah, so that's really cool. So I wanted to ask, we ask this with everybody, but what is your number one word that you use, or that you would say helps you to nurture your zest? So what kind of lights you up? What's your way to be passionate about life? What one word would you say is kind of the thing for you that just makes you shine?
I think probably authenticity, and to be as authentic as possible. I have had a couple projects in my life which I consider to be failed projects, and the reason being is I just think they weren't particularly authentic, and I was busy thinking about, maybe what was going to work, and how to, get people to like it. But you can't. I think the most important thing is to be aggressively authentic, and just let the people who relate to that buy into it. Um, and it's also very fulfilling, because I feel really fulfilled doing what I'm doing now, putting out there that I'm probably a little bit strange and like hairless cats and 3 lens glasses, and but it is very true to who I am. And I think that's like the most interesting thing about a person, is who they truly are, no matter what it is. So as long as it's authentic, I think, you know, it's cool.
I really love that. Okay, and for anyone watching, so we've got some students from Newcastle University Music School watching, and various creatives and artists, and people who maybe aren't quite sure how to get ahead in the creative industries. So you've told us what you kind of wish you knew, which was to not rush so much and to relax a bit. But is there anything else as a kind of leaving piece of advice for anyone wanting to make it? What would you say?
Well, not to sound like a broken record, but I think that when you're looking for something original, you want to find something that people can engage with, but something that is also relatable to people. It's difficult to toe that line and not to go all the way down to, this, you can do that. And if it's going to work for you and it's authentic for you, then you should totally do it. But if you're trying to make sort of commercial pop music, you have to find that space where you are completely yourself and that people can relate to it. And I think the most important thing is just to be completely true to who you are and let every part of what you're doing represent that. So even if it's in your brand and the pictures and the lyric, every little part of that should represent that, and you shouldn't care what other people think. I've had some people not like certain lyrics that I have and have issues with certain images, but at the end of the day, some people are going to like it, some people aren't. And you will find originality in that, in just doing something that is completely, you, and people will relate to that naturally.
Awesome, thank you. And so just before we go, where can people find you? Where do you hang out online? How do they know more about you? Where should they go?
Okay, so firstly, Spotify. My artist name is TIMMS, which is I decided to use because it's my dad's name, but with an S to make it a little more girly. TIMMS. So I'm on Spotify. So next song comes out tomorrow. Would love it if you checked it out. And other than that, I'm on Instagram, and it's Timmsy Timms. TIMMSY TIMMS. So there's two M's. I put the in Tim's. Just kidding. That was dorky, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that's where you can find me, Instagram and Spotify.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. It's so nice to chat to you. Lovely to talk to someone from home and hear your gorgeous accent and see what you're doing. And I have to say, seeing you from a tiny child with curly blonde hair to an adult with curly blonde hair, you're totally rocking it. It's so nice to see that your talent and your hard work's paying off. So keep doing what you're doing, and I can't wait to see you just fly. And one day I'm sure that you'll be giving your set list to a kid where it's really going to matter.
Thanks, Ashley. Thank you so much for having me on and listening to me ramble about music.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Okay, see you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so thank you everybody for listening to Nurture Your Zest tonight. If you've just joined us, you'll know that, or you might not know yet, that normally we record in a professional studio. Tonight's the first time we're doing a Facebook Live. So I'm super excited to have just challenged myself and just put it out there. And we'll be doing another episode this Thursday. So this Thursday, we're chatting to Martin Hilton, who is a artistic director of Gateway Studio. He's also, a resident lecturer and choreographer working at with Phoenix Theatre in Leeds. He is a TEDx speaker and performer and dancer. So I'm really looking forward to introducing you to Martin on Thursday this week at 7 p.m. UK time. So he will tell us all about his story of overcoming adversity, how he works with his community, and how you can nurture your zest. So thank you so much, and we'll see you soon, and have a great evening.
Hey, how you doing? What's your name? Yeah, it always starts the same. Everybody's got the same damn story. Fake, that's a smile on your face. Is this something I could take? 'Cause I'm so bored. Give me more, let's get dark, let's compare battle scars. Baby, give me something real. Show me the parts no one wants to see. Give me your demons and set them free. I bet they're pretty too, the ugly parts of you. Tell me the things no one wants to hear. Give me a taste of your darkest fears. I bet they're pretty too, all the pretty ugly parts of you. you're nasty on display. Yet the weirder that you get, the more I'll play with the monsters in your head. Show you mine and they'll be friends, so they won't be lonely again. Show me the parts no one wants to see. Give me your demons and set them free. I bet they're pretty too, the ugly parts of you. Tell me the things no one wants to hear. Give me a taste of your darkest fears. I bet they're pretty too, all the pretty. Give me more, let's get dark. Let's compare battle scars. Baby, give me something real. Show me the best no one wants to see. Give me your demons and set them free. I bet they're pretty too, the ugly parts of you. Tell me the things no one wants to hear. Give me a taste of your darkest fears. I bet they're pretty too, all the pretty ugly parts of you.
You've been listening to Nurture Your Zest. You can find us online on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and LinkedIn at Nurture Your Zest. If you've liked today, please subscribe. You can also leave us a review if you're feeling extra kind. Today's podcast has been made available through the kind sponsorship of TL Multimedia and That Branding Company. We look forward to catching up with you again soon as you learn to nurture your zest.